Hi, I'm Diane Dressback, and I have Kimber Lee with me today, and we have the pleasure of interviewing Raylene Gill. And thanks for being with us today, Raylene.
Thank you so much for inviting me here.
Absolutely. So, you are a chapter writer for the book From Us for You, Inspiring Stories of Healing, Growth, and Transformation. And I met you, Raylene, when I lived in Austin, and I decided I wanted to do a short film. And I think it was through your daughter, actually. We found out that your daughter wanted to come on set and do some behind the scenes videos. And I'm not exactly sure how that all connected in. But then you brought her to set, and she's a lovely, lovely young woman. I'm sure she's grown now. But that's how I first got in touch with you. So
Mhm.
why don't you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Well, I'm a mom of four, and I have my children are ranging from 11 years old up to 18. I mostly stay home and take care of them. They're homeschooled. My oldest is severe special needs, so a lot of appointments and different things that she needs. And then for fun, I like to travel and camp and hike and just pretty much anything outdoors. I film weddings and work kind of in the film community and things when I have time to do that. And I just really enjoy trying out a lot of different things and kind of going all around and seeing what there is out there.
That's awesome. The whole weddings, years and years ago, I was in the wedding business. And that's before it was even cool to have your wedding video. It's like, why would anybody want to videotape their wedding? That was a big thing. And now it's so much different, with equipment and everything else. So
It's a lot of fun. It's great helping them capture their special memories and, knowing that the day is so hectic and they can look back on that for years to come and share that with, people that couldn't be there, especially in the times of COVID. It's amazing to be there and be a part of it and, kind of have that preserved.
Raylene, first of all, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Thank you. There's 25 women in the book, and some of them I know and some of them I don't know. This is the first time meeting you. So with that being said, I'm so excited to read this book. Can you give me a little elevator pitch about what your chapter subject is about?
Sure. It just kind of goes through my life and how I thought everything was going to be perfect. I thought I had a handle on everything and it was going to be different than, how I watched my mom struggle and how I was going to make all of my dreams come true. And my dreams were to, make a lot of money and have a great education and, do all these wonderful things, change the world. And when it came down to it, I struggled with having my children and my daughter being special needs and things. And I started to realize that not everything is always going to go exactly as you thought it would. And that's sometimes the best thing in life. I mean, I wouldn't trade my children for anything. I wouldn't trade the experiences I've had for anything. So just kind of goes through how I came to that conclusion and dealt with everything.
So what would be the one word that you would use if you had to name your chapter? What to describe what's in it for me? Because now you've got me so curious. I want to read it.
I would say maturity, probably, because growing up, children have these ideals of I'm going to be a sports star, I'm going to be a famous actor, I'm, going to do these big things. But when you grow up, you start to value different things and you start to understand what's really important. And so I think going through everything I did, I wouldn't trade what I've got for anything in the world. And so I think that's kind of a growth and maturity that helped me arrive at that place.
So what I think I'm hearing is, did you have a dream and then children happened and that went to the wayside, or were children your dream and then that dream came with challenges?
I think honestly, it was a little of both. I mean, children eventually were my dream, but I did everything so young, and it just became such a struggle with my first child being born. When she was born, I wasn't even 20, and she was so complex, and it was a whole new world that I was thrown into, that I had to grow up along with her. And so it just became my dream to do everything I could for them and do the best I could. And in that, I started finding myself and finding that, you know, it's not always the things that you held on to so tightly. It's, you know, I've never been to college yet. I will maybe someday, but it was something that was a driving force to do these certain things, this checklist. And now I'm like, okay, there are other ways to arrive at these goals. You know, I still feel fulfilled. I still get to do what I want to do. I get to help my children grow. I get to, you know, share in all these special memories and everything. So it's my dream to see them do well. And it's my dream to be happy and have a great life. And I have that, even if it's challenging and things are not always as easy as I would like them to be. It's a great life.
Good. And you know, having 4 children is a lot. My daughter has 4 boys, and she was a single mom, and I watch her and I'm in total amazement of how she's doing. But then to add on top of that, her oldest also has very challenging things to overcome because he is autistic. So I get that raising kids is hard enough, and then add another element into raising them that is just, it's heartbreaking to watch sometimes that she just is worn down. And I know your book will, if that's what it's about, will help so many people out there like my daughter that know they're not alone going through these challenges and foregoing some dreams. And also too, you still have young children at home, and I always ask the authors this next question. Yours is pretty much already answered for me, because you're still going to be raising your kids, but where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I will still be raising my children. I will still be, my youngest actually turns 12 in 2 days. So my baby's growing up, but in 5 years, he will just be thinking about college and getting ready to leave home. I don't know where life will be. I hope I will have traveled considerably more, maybe even overseas, and seen a lot of things. And I hope that I will have gotten to try a lot of things alongside my children and my husband, and, you know, doing all sorts of stuff. I will have grown even more and learned even more, and, you know, kind of
sure.
just reveled in life.
Yeah, I'm sure all of those things will be happening, and I will follow your story and follow you now because you're such an inspiration.
Well,
You're
thank you.
you're very welcome, and I also want to see where you are 5 years from now.
Well, hopefully it'll be something worth noting. I mean,
Well, since you wrote a book, do you have any designs on expanding on that idea? I'm just curious.
I'm not really sure. I mean, it never really was a dream of mine to write a book. It was something that Diane had asked me to do. And a lot of people have mentioned, they said, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom. You have so many stories to tell. You do so many things. You know, would you ever consider writing? And I've kind of like, well, I don't really have the time for that. And this was something that I said, you know what, I'm not going to put things off anymore. My whole life has been, I'll deal with that later. I'll do that later. You know, and I've kind of gotten to the point where as I get older, I don't want to put things off. I can't keep waiting, because who knows when, when are you ever going to get to that day? So I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. So I don't know if there would be more attempts in the future. It was fun. It was a fun process, but this is a lot less demanding, doing a chapter and being with someone so experienced and, people that are so knowledgeable, versus attempting something like this by myself. So
yeah, I think I see some other things in your future, and I'm glad that you didn't put yourself off and put yourself first for a change to accomplish a dream. And yeah, I think I'm excited. I want to see your future. How about it, Diane?
The first thing I've been published, and this is an exciting time.
Well, I'm so glad that you jumped on board with that.
Thank you.
So this is another question that we're asking, and that is, a lot of times we learn from the failures that we have in our lives, and sometimes even those lessons can be shared with other people that they can learn from. So can you think of a time in your life that you had a failure and later you realized that it was something of value? You learned a valuable lesson from that.
Oh, there's been a million. I am learning every day because I'm human and I screw up every day. Basically, I think probably the biggest thing that I've really done and learned from is just, like I said, putting everything off, always thinking that everything needed to be perfect, and that I had to get to a certain place in my life. I, always thought, okay, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get this great degree and this amazing job and, be the head of a company and travel, all of these things. And I could have just started small. I could have just started with one class or one goal. And so I started doing that. I started, I jumped on board and started filming weddings. I don't own the company, I help out. I started learning cinematography. I started learning photography. I started, jumping in and traveling just around the United States. And, I had put it off for so long. My daughter's so severe. She's on a trach and feeding tubes and ventilator and, all of these things that I said, I'm not a person that can travel. I'm not somebody that can do that. That's too much. She's too involved. I have to be there to take care of her all the time. And I put everything off and I kept just thinking someday. And I don't want to get to the point where I resent people. I don't want to resent my daughter for, feeling like I can't go out and do things. I don't want to resent my children thinking that, oh, they're too young to go do something or I have to stay home and raise them. And so I just started, not saying no to opportunities and jumping in and kind of growing myself, and in that showing my kids that it's okay to do things for yourself sometimes, and that you do need to take chances. You may not always succeed, you may not get to that top of the peak, but you're doing it little by little. And so I've just kind of
Yeah. So how do you, with all the children and your busy life that's going on, how do you rejuvenate yourself? What do you do, like, personally? Do you meditate or do you listen to music, or how do you kind of get your...
really, I just get outside and get any way I can, whether it's walking outside at the park, going hiking, going out for a bike ride, being outside, being in the fresh air, being in the sun, which we haven't had much of lately in Texas, but being outside just really kind of helps clear away all the stress, just clear my mind, get me back in a better place, feel more focused, feel, relieved, happy, just kind of gives me a break. And sometimes it's a lot to be at the house. Anybody with children, it's hard to be at the house, especially when you're home so much lately. I homeschool my kids, so I'm with them 24/7, and I love it usually, but with all of the machines and alarms and radios and noises and stuff, sometimes it's just very overwhelming. And so I just have to have quiet. I just have to get away for a little bit and just have quiet. And then I feel a million times better.
Yeah, getting outside in nature is always for me too. It's like, especially the water. I love the water. So anytime
Yeah.
I can be by the water, it gives you this, just this feeling of, you can just totally relax and let things go.
Mhm.
And yeah,
I agree.
yeah. So I have one final question for you today. And that is, while you were writing your chapter for the book, was there any particular thing that you learned about yourself?
I learned that I have a lot to learn about technology and writing. I knew that I have trouble with deadlines and procrastination. I learned that it is not as easy as you think it's going to be. When you first asked me, I thought, yeah, sure, that's not a problem at all. That's a tiny little thing. I can absolutely do this. And I knew that I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And so I was driving myself crazy because I was constantly rewriting it, trying to take things out, trying to add things, remembering details. I learned that my memory is going. I had a very hard time kind of remembering all the details and stuff. I just really had to face a lot of issues having never done this. And I really struggled with knowing that everyone is going to read this, and I want to make this something that can help people and they can relate to and show that I'm there for them and that this would be beneficial. And so I struggled with, how is this going to help other people? How is my story and my experiences going to help other people? And so that was probably one of the biggest things that, kind of coming around to, okay, this is how I get from here to this is what I need. And so it's just a huge learning curve.
Well, I think people are going to feel that your chapter is very beneficial. And I really appreciate you sharing your personal story. And I can't wait to get it out there so people can read it and be inspired as well. So
Can't wait to read the entire book. I'm excited.
It's coming. Thank you for joining us today, Raylene. We really appreciate talking with you.
You as well.
Thank you. And thank you for watching the interview with Raylene. And if you would like more information about the book, you can visit FromUsForYou.com and get all the details there. So thank you, ladies, and make it a very hopeful day.